Hey guys, how's it going? I got something here I want y'all to take a look at that we've been demoing for a couple days. I've got very little seat time in it, but here it is. This is a 333G skid steer with a smart grade GPS system on it. Has an 8-foot dozer blade on it. I mean, it's basically the same blade that you get on like a 450 bulldozer, but it's not quite as tall maybe. And I'm not sure what the width of the blade is on the dozer, but it may not be quite as wide as the dozer blade, but it's basically built exactly the same. I mean, even down to these little ears right here. Even the ball joint down there is basically the same. The top link is the same. All the tilt cylinder and the angle cylinders are different angle. Of course, on the dozer they go back into the C-frame. But this is pretty interesting to have this machine. This is something new they've just come out with. We'll get in it here. Boy, it's hot in here. We hadn't been on this job today. I just stopped here on the way home from another job. We'll crank it up and get the AC going. Everything's exactly the same as a regular 333G. You got a backup camera up here, but you have this GPS screen here that's the same thing as the bulldozer has, or anything with GPS, with Topcon GPS. Machine control has this screen in it. This machine will do full auto with the blade. It's pretty neat. It'll take over the blade just like it does on the 700K we have, and the blade will follow the contours that are in the I don't know what this thing's trying to tell me here. There we go. Anyway, it'll follow the contours that are in the model that you put into the GPS. It also has another feature that you can use. It's called Easy Grade, and you turn it on in the screen up here, which is a little bit difficult. I wish it was just a switch you could flip and turn it on and off. It takes you like 2 minutes to get in this screen and turn it on, but with the Easy Grade, if you're not using GPS, you can set the blade height with your hand over here, and you can just drive along, and the blade will try to stay at the height that you put it at. So if you set it flat on the ground and you just start driving, and even if you're going downhill, it'll kind of keep the blade at that grade that you set it at. So if the loader tips over, instead of gouging a hole in the ground, like if it goes over a bump and it tips down, it'll raise the blade up to try to keep it from gouging in. It'll kind of float along and keep a consistent grade, which is pretty neat. But one of the neatest things about this is it has dozer. It has a dozer mode, which allows the blade to operate just like a dozer. So this control stick operates the blade. Let me take the parking brake off, which is up here. Give it a little bit of throttle. But this when you have it in dozer mode, when you pull back on this, it tilts the blade back to raise it up, and if you continue to pull, it'll raise the boom up. And then when you put it back down, I'm just pushing straight down. I'm going to continue to push straight down. When it bottoms out, then it tilts the blade back down. So I don't know how well y'all can see that. I'm going to pull straight back. It does that, and then it does that. Push straight forwards. It goes down and then down. Now, just like on a dozer, I'm going to raise it up. Just like on a dozer, if you tilt the stick to the left, it tilts the blade to the left. If you tilt the stick to the right, it tilts the blade to the right. And then your thumb switch angles the blade. So pushing it forwards angles to the right, pull it back angles to the left. So it all operates exactly like a bulldozer when it's in bulldozer mode. And you can switch bulldozer mode with this button right here. You push this button and it goes back to skid steer mode. Now in skid steer mode, if you pull back on the lever, it raises the boom up. And then if you tilt the stick, it tilts the bucket backs, or tilts the blade back, what would be the bucket. And then if you use the thumb, it changes everything up. It makes it a whole lot more difficult to operate. It's nothing like running a bulldozer. So you can switch it back to bulldozer mode, and then everything goes back to operating just like a bulldozer. And this is probably my favorite feature of this. I really like operating the blade on this dozer, on this little, well, I call it a dozer, but it's actually a skid steer. I like operating it and controlling it myself. I was doing some backfilling and trimming and stuff with it, and I really enjoy doing that. One thing I hate to say this, but I'm not as impressed with, it's using the GPS with it when it's in automatic mode. I mean, it's good to be able to see what you're doing, where you are, to trim stuff out up in tight areas, but there's a couple things that I don't like about it. One is it's slow because you have to use creep mode. And creep mode makes the machine go really slow. So when you're using the auto part of the blade, you have to go really slow. Compared to a dozer, on a dozer you can kind of go on with it. But on this machine, they force you to go really slow, and I'm going to say around 1 mile per hour, I guess, maybe 2. But it also it won't cut a smooth surface. My dad and I both have tried, and we've adjusted the gains on it and everything else, but it wants to get washboardy when it's operating on its own. It wants to get, and a lot of it has to do with the weight of the blade out there. I think it has to do with the length of the tracks are pretty short, and it has to do with the way that it's raising up and down, which I don't know how else you can do it, because raising the boom up and down is not a good way to raise the blade. But when you tilt the blade out there, just a little bit of movement back here where it's tilting causes a whole lot of movement out there. So I have a little bit of footage of my dad running this thing for the very first time, and that's all that I have with footage as far as running it. So I'll put that in here. Right there to your left. blade shake. So anyway, that was Dad running it. He's run it more than I have actually, but he said he's tried every way in the world to get it to like cut a smooth grade. He put down stone with it, and he said the only way he could get it smooth was to back drag it. After he pushed forward, he'd have to back drag to get the washboards out. So I guess there's a little bit more fine tuning that needs to be done. I was hoping it would be perfect, but it's not yet. I'm sure they can get it, and maybe we're missing something, but I like it. I like having the blade on here. It's a really nice blade, and it really does good as far as when I was operating it just as a free-handed dozer without the GPS. I was having a lot of fun with it. But as far as auto mode, it needs a little bit of work. Now, easy grade is something I hadn't used much yet, and I might turn it on here. Let me see if I can get it. This is how you turn on easy grade. You got to go to the menu, and you got to go way through here. Wait a minute, that was it, grade control. So you got to go, well, I went by it again. So see, this is part of the frustration with it right there. So you got to hit select. It says easy grade, and then come on, easy grade, and then you got to hit select, enable easy grade. Now it says it's enabled. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out here on the driveway, and I'll try to let y'all see what this thing does. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down just barely off the driveway, and I'm going to put y'all out there, and I'm not going to touch the stick. I'm just going to drive, and you'll see that the blade will kind of adjust itself to stay level. Y'all could tell that it was doing anything, but I didn't touch the stick going down through there, and the blade was constantly adjusting as the machine would teeter. It would if it tilted forward, it'd raise it up a little bit. If it teetered back, it would let it down. And it's not something I've got to actually use in the real life situation, but it is something that's pretty neat. But see, it's continuously adjusting right now, and I can't turn it off without going back up here in the computer and hitting disable, and now it's disabled. It's just too much, and it just needs to be a flip switch. You just flip it on or flip it off. It doesn't need, you don't want to have to go in the computer and turn that on and off every time. That's just kind of ridiculous about that, but it is a nice feature. I wish I could, wish I had a dirt pad out here or something I could use it on, but I don't. All right, so here's what the screen kind of looks like with the GPS on. We don't have a base set up, but that's what it looks like. Once you get the base going, you'll be able to see curbs, parking lot lines, just everything that's on this job. You'll be able to see it on here. And then you have the option of auto mode, and you turn auto mode on by pushing this button here. It turns on auto, and then the blade will take over itself when you have the GPS going, operating. You can change offsets by these two buttons here. When your offsets are, let's say you have a finished grade, it's the top of asphalt, and you have, let's say you have 2 inches of asphalt. Your model is set to make this blade go to finished grade, which would be top of asphalt. But say your asphalt's 2 inches deep and there's gravel under the asphalt that's 6 inches deep, so you would want an offset of 8 inches. And this thing is in tenths of a foot, so you have to convert 8 inches to tenths, which would be 66 hundredths. That would be 8 inches, so you would put an offset in of a negative 0.66, and that would be 8 inches, and then you would start cutting it out, trimming it out. And this is how you can change the offsets without touching the screen. You can push that to go down, that to go up. So that's a neat feature. This button here is supposed to be able to switch back and forth between the dozer mode and skid steer mode, and I've never gotten it to work. Every time I've pushed it, it hasn't ever done anything. To put it in snail mode, which you have to use to work the blade in auto, which makes the machine go really slow, you hold the 2-speed button in, and let me lower the lap bar. You hold, okay, it did it. See, it's got the creep. It says the creep limit. Sorry about all the glare, it's kind of sunny. You use this switch here then to adjust how fast the creep speed is. And then you're not supposed to go over 40% creep speed, which is, let me show you how fast that is. You also have to run the throttle at wide open to make it all work correctly. So I'm just going to drive in creep mode. This is how fast you can go while you're grading. There's somebody coming. This is how fast. So, back it up. This is top speed while grading. It backs up. You can back up at full speed without taking it out of creep mode, but when you're grading, you're going extremely slow. On a bulldozer, you can move on a lot faster. Like our little D3 sitting here, we have GPS on it. You can basically go half speed of the dozer, and it'll cut it just fine and stay at a consistent grade without washboarding. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I know it's not much on this thing, but I've been wanting to video it, and I just hadn't had time, and I just stopped here right quick to show y'all what it was and what it'll do. Now, as far as taking the blade off, there's nothing special. You just take the hoses loose, you take 2 wiring harnesses loose, and you have to unclip these hoses right here from out of the skid steer boom. And then of course, there's a coupler that you operate from in the cab that takes this blade off just like a bucket. and that's all there is to it. Put it back in skid steer mode in the cab, and it's nothing difficult. There's no brackets, nothing special about putting this blade on. I don't know if this blade will go on a non-smart grade skid steer and work like a dozer. I mean, I know it'll go on a non-smart grade skid steer, but I don't know if it has the dozer mode like this skid steer here does. When you have the smart grade package, you have to have the 3 weights to counterweight the blade, and yeah, so that's about all I know about this machine. I know, oh, you do have these antennas on top. It's one thing that kind of bothers us. You got these, this little plastic covers over them. You got one there, and then you got this little thing, and you got 2 antennas here. We would want to be able to use our machine in the woods doing brush cutting and stuff, and we were concerned about these. And this here, I mean, what if something hit that? This stuff is so expensive, you wouldn't want to risk running this machine in the woods, I don't think. I mean, I think one of these is about $1,000. And then you got another $1,000, and I don't even know what this is. It may have something to do with internet connection, or I'm not sure, but it's just sensitive stuff on top of this machine. You wouldn't want to run it in the woods, I wouldn't think. But anyway, there it is, the John Deere 333G Smart Grade skid steer. I like it. I think they're on the right track. I think they got some more fine tuning they need to do, unfortunately. I'm just being honest. I wouldn't buy it for the price that they want for it because of how it acts. So if you could go a lot faster, if it would grade a lot smoother, yeah, it might be worth it. But you could take the price of this machine and basically double it, and then you could take this machine that has, without this just a basic 333G, take the price of that machine, which is about $85,000, and double it, and that's what this machine costs. So there you go. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoy this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing this new machine they've got here, which basically the machine's not really, the 333G's been out for quite some time, but this smart grade system is something that's very new. So we appreciate them bringing it out here and letting us demo in it. But we're probably just going to be buying we are buying a skid steer loader, but we're going to be getting just a regular one with a bucket, no smart grade. So all right, we'll talk to y'all later.